Hey everyone, it's Ariel Helwani again. Hope you're doing well. Throughout this crazy time in our lives, I've been trying to interact and connect with people who bring us positivity, who I enjoy talking to. I don't want to focus on the negative. I want to focus on the good things, on the positives. And when I think of good things in the sport of mixed martial arts, one name comes to mind: the greatest of all time, the pride of St. Isidore, Quebec, Canada, the GOAT himself, the welterweight champ, the middleweight champ, our friend George Rush St-Pierre, who we don't get to talk to often. George, how are you? Thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you. My God, what a privilege.
Oh, it's our privilege to talk to you, honestly. And George, I haven't talked to you since your press conference to announce your retirement last February of 2019. So it's been over a year. So it's great to catch up
More,
again.
yeah, more than a year actually. I think it's 2 year. 2 year, is it? Isn't
A
it
year and a
2 years?
half, a year and change, February of
Yeah,
2019.
yeah. You're right.
So what has life been like for you since announcing your retirement? Are you comfortable? Are you happy? I mean, you're only 38 years old, right? So typically in life we don't
Yeah,
retire at 38, but for you it's a little different. What has it been like this past year?
yeah. No, I'm the happiest man in the world. I wouldn't want to change my place to anybody else. I'm very happy, and yeah, in fighting for an athlete has a window, and you want to retire from the sport. You don't want a sport retiring you.
When you took the break, when you said goodbye, did you want to say goodbye to the sport in general? Like, did you find yourself not watching it anymore, not really like sitting down for the big fights? Did you feel like you needed a mental break from everything involving MMA?
No, you mean when I took my retire, or after,
Yeah.
when I took my retire? No, it's not that. Is we were working, trying to make a big fight with Khabib at the time, and it didn't materialize. And if it's to go back into the same routine I did before, I've done it for so long. I don't have the same motivation as I did before. So if you lack motivation to, you know what I mean, you better stop. Because me, I know myself. I know I perform the best when I'm on the edge. Like when it's do or die. And if it's to go back to do the same routine, I find myself kind of not bored, because every fight is very dangerous. But for that reason, I decided that it was not a good idea for me to continue.
I know you were vocal about the Khabib fight, but did you find yourself ever getting the itch, like while watching anyone else and saying like, this is interesting, this might get me back?
No, of course. Sometimes I watch the fight, and it goes by waves. Sometimes when I'm in the gym or I watch a fight, sometimes I'm excited, and I'm looking at the fight, and I'm like, man, I know I can beat these guys. And then after I wake up in the morning or before I go in bed, and I tell myself like, what the hell I'm thinking? Like, hell to this. I don't want to go back into that stressful lifestyle. Because I love what fighting gave me. The freedom, of course, the wealth, the money, all the advantage that comes with it. But I actually don't like to fight. I never enjoy 1 second in the octagon in my entire career. I just like to do it because I'm just very good with it, and I like what it gives me. But I don't like actually the actual fight. It's very stressful.
So it's interesting that you say that because next week is the 12-year anniversary. Do you remember of what? Of what famous fight of yours? 12 years, April 19th, 2008.
Hey, that's a good question. I'm not sure. 2008.
2008, UFC 83 at the Bell Center, Centre Bell against
Oh,
Matt Serra, the
yeah,
first
my
ever fight
revenge.
in Canada.
Isn't
And
Yeah.
isn't that amazing? 12 years next week.
Wow, time flies, man. It's crazy. It is insane. It's crazy.
And and and
That was one of the best moments of my career. It was a home fight. My parent, my friend, everybody was there. The first fight in Canada. It was a dream come true for me.
So the reason I brought this up now is because I rewatched the fight last night, and after the fight, you said to Kenny Florian, because Kenny Florian was the color analyst, not Joe Rogan. You said this is the happiest moment of my life. But just a couple minutes ago, you said you were never happy fighting. So how could that have been the happiest moment of your life if you were never actually happy fighting?
Yeah, it was the happiest moment of my life when I won the title. But if you would have asked me that a few minutes before, I was not very happy. I was very stressed. I think what make me happy is the feeling of achievement, being able to, the feeling of freedom. It's something that in order to obtain, you need to go and to put yourself into a suffering mode. There's no pleasure without suffering. Uh, and fighting, it's a love-hate relationship. I hate the fact that I don't know the outcome of the fight before the fight happened, because you work so hard, and the idea of failure is just unbearable. And for me, my pride, it's one of my best thing, my worst thing in the same time. That's what helped me to stand up straight against adversity, but in the same time, it drives me completely insane, because I'm so proud that when I put myself into it, it's so important to succeed, and failure is not an option. And unfortunately, nobody is invincible. And I failed twice in my career, but these two failures that I had made me better and stronger. But it was at the time that it happened, it was just unbearable for me. The idea of failure, it's crazy. I think if you want to be successful in a sport like mixed martial art or anything, if you do something and you want to be the best at, you need to be a little bit crazy. You need to be obsessive, and that's what I brought into the sport. My obsession allowed me to do great things in the game, I think.
When you say completely insane, it drives you completely insane. Like, how unbearable was that feeling? Like, at its height,
uh,
how much did it hurt you?
when you have a fight, let's just put it this way: when you have a fight coming up, you for me, you would constantly think about it. As much as a man will think about sex, you will think about fighting. Even worse, when you know the fight is coming, it's like a funnel. The closer you get to the fight, the more you think about it, and it become an obsession. You eat it, you drive it. When you drive your car before you sleep, you think about it constantly all the time, not only in training. And that was one of the problem for me. I couldn't pull the plug. It was very hard for me. The moment that I finished a fight and I raised my arm, there was another guy calling me out, so I didn't have any break. It was very hard. So that's why when I took my retirement and people ask me, hey, do you want to go back into this? If I would have fight, I would have fight. But on my turn, I would not like to fight and go back into that title defense, title. I'm past that. It's too stressful for me. And if I do that, if I keep doing this, I felt like the stress will kill me. Like maybe I will die of a cancer or something. For me, it was unbearable.
Is there any part of you over the past year and change since you announced your retirement in February of 2019 that misses the stress a little bit? Because when you're stressed, you're also a bit alive, that those nerves.
I don't miss the stress at all. I miss the accomplishment of an achievement. Like I I I miss, the last step that you take if you try to claim a mountain, a Mount Everest. The last step that you claim and you made it to the top, and wow, that's what I miss. I don't miss being called out. I don't miss being in a promotion to promote my next fight, and a trash talk back and forth and being stressed about the outcome of the upcoming fight. I don't really miss that. I miss the to be with my training partner, trainer, during training camp and having a dinner. It's like a brotherhood. These moments I miss, and I will remember for the rest of my life. But the stress of the fight itself, the endless night without sleeping, because you constantly recreating different scenario in your head before the fight. This is insane. It drives me completely insane. This I don't miss at all. Not at all. Not I just miss the achievement, the winning. This is fun, but it lasts for a very brief moment.
I was talking to Chael Sonnen recently, and he told me that the biggest regret of his career is that he didn't enjoy 1 minute of his career. Looking back now, he didn't have fun. He didn't smile at all. Do you relate to that? Did you enjoy any of it?
I enjoy when I won. I enjoy the freedom that it gives me. I enjoy of course, the money, the woman, the the glory, the the the, the prepare. The when you're training, when you're not preparing for a fight. I love that. I love to train, but when you're not preparing for a fight, when when you get ready for a fight, it's not about having fun. It's about performance. And that's why sometimes when it become business, it become performance. The fun is gone. But when you fight after and you win and you have the result that you want, now it's fun to have the the achievement. You know what I mean? It's a very hard thing to explain for a guy who never, for my fan, some of them who never competed. And even I talk to many fighters. Most of guys, they really enjoy the process. They're very happy. I corner a friend of mine. His name is Nazrat. A few months ago, and he was in the locker room very happy. He was like, man, I'm so excited to be there. And I look at him, I'm like, man, you're a psychopath, bro. You're like, it's insane. Like, most of the guys, I think maybe I'm different, but maybe I'm a coward. I don't know. I'm scared to death. What I do before a fight is I put a mask. I'm pretending that for me it's impossible to fail, but this is only a mask. This is not how I truly feel inside. I'm very, very scared. I'm not excited. I remember I've seen a sport psychologist, and the sport psychologist used to tell me, George, stop saying you're scared. You're not scared. You're excited. I'm like, dude, I'm excited if I'm excited if I haven't eat for 3 days and I know I'm about to eat my favorite dish. I'm excited if I'm seeing a beautiful naked woman. I'm excited if it's minus 15 in Montreal and I know next week I'm going on vacation on the beach in a hot, warm, exotic place. I'm excited. I'm not excited to go fight in a cage against another psychopath that gonna try to kill me, and maybe I'm gonna be humiliated. I'm not excited about that. I'm scared. And I think it's normal. I'm just, I mean, I'm different. Or maybe all the guys are liars in the business of fighting. I don't know. But I was very scared all the time. And I think that scare, that fear, maybe made me sharper, made me stronger. Maybe in a way it helped me.
What memories, if any, do you still have from UFC 83, that first show in Montreal? I remember the buzz leading up to that fight was so great in the city. Everyone was so excited. The rematch, right? You were coming back. What do you
Yeah.
remember about that night?
Oh man, one of the crazy thing I remember is Bruce Buffer was announcing. He was saying in the blue corner, wearing weighing, and I couldn't even hear him. The crowd was so loud. I just saw his lips moving, and when he said, "George St-Pierre, when is your time to raise your arm?" or because he introduced you, I just follow his lips, and I couldn't understand him. It was insane because
Wow.
I felt like I was close to, if let's say you're in a club and you're close to a speaker and you're so close that you cannot hear anything and you feel the vibration. It was a crazy feeling. The crowd was so loud I could feel the vibration, like the wind. If you do that, you feel a wind on your. I could feel that in every inches of my body. It was a crazy, crazy event. A very special moment for me.
And your family was there.
Yes, and I fought in Toronto. It was like 50 something thousand people in the crowd in Toronto, but that night the crowd in Montreal, because maybe it's a smaller venue. It feels like it was 100,000 people. Like, to me it feels even worse. If not worse, it feels, I would say, better. I mean, at the time when they introduced me, I was scared. I was like we just talked about. I was, it was a different feeling. It was. I never felt anything like this before.
You wore the red gi out to the cage. Was there ever a reason why you picked red, black, sometimes white? Any particular reason for that?
It was a gi that I was been given to me I'm a karate. My first martial art is karate background. You know, I did Kyokushinkai and Shidokan Kai, and it was a gi that was given to me by a master in Shidokan. You know, so he gave it to me, and I wanted to wear it as a, for motivation.
Yeah, it's amazing because now, the fighters in the UFC, they can't wear their own outfit, right?
Yeah,
They have to Doesn't that bother you a little bit? That's what made you so special.
yeah.
People loved wearing the headbands, the gi like you. It takes some of the personality away.
Exactly, it takes away from the show a little bit. Some guys I remember some. It was Sukuju used to come with the Predator. You know,
Mhm.
it was cool. Kenki Sudo had an incredible entrance. You know, like he was like wearing a costume. I think it makes it for the show. I think they take away some part of the show for the fan doing that, and the personality and the charisma of the fighter. Yes.
And one thing I've always wanted to ask you, because you did it right before you walked into the cage, you did the thing where you licked your fingers and then you rubbed your nipples. All the Jacksons guys did that. Why did you guys do that? I've never gotten the answer to this.
It make you disconnect for a split second because you're so stressed. You only think about this. Then you're like, oh, it's true. I gotta do this, and it just make you disconnect for a split second. It's crazy. It make you remember to do something that has nothing to do with the fight. So it slice
Wow.
the situation a little bit. It make you reset a little bit.
Who came up with that?
I think I'm the one who did it first.
Wow, really? Okay, because then after Rashad did it, all the Jacksons guys did it.
Well, I'm not a superstitious guy, but when something works, you know, and you don't have any other way to make it better, you just keep going to do it.
Did someone tell you about this, or you did it on your own?
I did on my own. It's something that I didn't know it was like a cult, like everybody did it as well. I didn't know. I know maybe Rashad did it at one time, but it's something that help you slice the situation. You know, you're very stressed. It make you just say, hey, life is it's not all that. You know, you're here, you're alive. You know, be aware that you're here. You know what I mean?
Because you were coming off a title loss. I mean, you lost to Matt, and then you came back and you beat Matt Hughes to get the interim title. But then you were fighting Matt again to regain the official belt. Were you more nervous going into that fight than any of your other fights because you had to avenge that loss against the guy that everyone thought you should have beat very easily the year before?
Every fight that I had, I was more and more nervous. My last fight against Michael Bisping was the worst.
Wow.
However, I would say that in terms of nervousness and my skill of being able to deal with nervousness, the worst that I had, it was my first fight with Matt Hughes, because I was young at the time, and I remember when I was younger, I used to think that the nerves will go away with time. I will be able to stay more calm and relaxed. What I've learned with my experience is that it doesn't go away, it gets even worse. However, your skills of dealing with it gets better
Hmm.
because you accept it. You accept the fact that you're not going to sleep well the night before the fight, and it's normal because you know you're getting into what you're getting into. But when I fought Matt Hughes the first time, I remember I couldn't sleep the night before, not at all, because I constantly make scenario in my mind. In every scenario that I made in my mind, it was not a lot of scenario that I saw myself win. You know, I was seeing myself lose all the time. So I tried to think real hard of how can I come back on top and make it better. But I didn't see any positive imagery coming out by myself for that fight. You know, normally I see myself win, I see myself lose. It's about, I would say, 70-30. But for the fight with Matt Hughes, it was 30-70. It was pretty bad I
Wow.
say maybe even 90-10, So mentally, it was very hard for me to deal with the nerves of that fight because I didn't have the experience and I was being thrown into a title fight against my idol at the time. It was like a monument. Matthews was at the best guy, one of the best welterweight at the time. He used to grab people, slam them on the ground like a potato bag, and it was very scary to fight a guy like Matthews. And I had a very hard time dealing with this at the time.
And of course, you lost that fight, but then you came back UFC 65 and you finally won the belt. You mentioned the Bisping fight, and afterwards you revealed that you had colitis. Do you think that the nerves led to the colitis as well? Not only your diet, but the nerves as well? Because that could happen, right?
Yeah, I believe so. And I believe most of people has genetic associate problems with. In my family, I made 20, I think it's like the DNA testing, and you can see what is in your genetic is more problematic. And for me, it's the digestive system. And I see in my family some people, like some of my auntie or one of my grandfather had colon cancer and things like that, or Crohn. And for me, I think it's because of the genetic and also the stress. It's a big part of it. Of course, the diet was not very good, but what I've done to try to load myself with so much stuff, I think it's a mixture of everything. We don't always know the cause of things, but I think that's probably what it was.
Do you have any symptoms now?
No, it's all gone now. All
Okay.
gone. I cure it. Of course, they had to go on medication, but what I did is I discovered intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting, and I changed some stuff in my life. Like I started to eat fermented food, and I did the intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting, and it healed me. I don't need any medication. It healed me for good.
Wow. Could I ask, how much do you weigh right now?
I'm about the same, 185 pounds.
Because there was a point, pictures were coming out of you and you were looking very, very skinny. Were you trying to see if you could make 155 or to see how low you could go? Because I remember there were some training photos of you and people were like, wow, GSP looks different.
I'm much more leaner now that I was even when I was. I'm saying much more, maybe not much more, but I'm leaner now than I was when I was 25. I'm 38 years old. I wish I would know intermittent fasting and prolonged fasting before, because I used to come from that culture that, oh, you need your protein after your a protein shake, and things like that. But I don't believe in it anymore.
So with this diet, do you think you could, if you wanted to, make 155?
Yeah, I could make 155. Yes, I always could. I'm not a big 170. There's guys that fight at 170. They off season they go to 200 pounds. I never been 200 pounds. I'm always around 185. When I wake up in the morning, 183, 182. That's what I walk around.
How close did the talks get with Khabib?
It didn't go at the time. It was they had other plan, and for them it was I know Khabib wanted to have that fight. I want it, but the thing is, the UFC, if you look on the UFC side, it's not, I think it's normal. If I put myself in their shoes, they didn't want to take the risk of me winning the title and then after vacant it again, because we even proposed that I didn't want it even for the title. I would rather do it not for a title. For me, it was because I considered Khabib right now the best fighter in the world, and he wanted to fight me as well. So I thought it was a good fan fight, for the fans.
But they didn't want it.
No, they didn't want it. They had the other plan for Khabib, and I understand that they had a lot to lose, and it was if they invest into that fight and their investment goes out after, it's not a good move, So that, in a way, it's I could take that take that as a compliment, because maybe they saw me as a threat for them. That's mean maybe they thought I could have won the fight. If they would have let me fight him, maybe it's because they think I would have lose. So that's why.
After you retired, after you had the press conference, until today, have you ever talked to Dana White?
I must have said hi sometime, but we never talk about me fighting or anything like this. I haven't talked to him. I don't think I've talked to him after he just wrote me a very nice text. I just say, because when I retired, I text him. I say, thank you very much for all those years and everything. I know we had problems sometime, but it was strictly business. And I understand you're the best manager. And if I can do what I did, if I have what I have in my life right now, it's because of you, because of what you did for the sport. And not only me, all the fighters should be thankful to you for what you did in that way. And he say, thank you. He said that you had a great career. Nobody retired on top. You did it. Congratulations. He was very nice.
And even when you had the press conference in Montreal, like, you still kept the door like a little bit open. Is it fair to say the door is completely closed now?
Man, it would need a complete 180-degree turnaround right now. Look, sometimes I'm training with the guys. I still get it, man. I'm not in fighting shape, and you're never in fighting shape when you're not getting ready for a fight, because it's like a sprinter. A sprinter, when he in training, he doesn't do under the 10 second all year around. He does under the 10 second, like certain specific time when he peaks. Fighter are the same. They're in fight shape when they peak, because they know there's a fight. So I know it will not take me much to be in fight shape. I can still reach that. However, the fighter is always the last person to know when is time to stop, So in my mind, I still think I get it, and I believe I can still be champion. It's just that I don't know if I'm my trainers say yes as well. I just don't know if I wanted to get back into it. It would need something that interests me, or like I said, something happened like from the left field and I never saw it coming, and I'm like, man, maybe let's do it.
But other than Khabib, does anyone else interest you? Because your name keeps getting brought up all the time. Kamaru Usman
Really?
talks about you. Oh, all the time. Everyone says they want to fight you. Woodley for years. Usman now saying he wants to fight you. Khabib, even when you retired, said, no, please, let's do this. Is there anyone else? It's
No
amazing.
way.
Yes.
I didn't know that. I mean, I still watch the fight, but I don't watch the press conference and all the drama. Now I just don't like it. I just like the fight. I watch the fighter that I like to watch fight the most. There's too many fights. There is almost every weekend now. It's not like it used to be. It used to be like an happening. Like the card used to be more loaded. Now it's more every week. So there's a few guys that I like to watch fight that I watch it and I've never missed their fight.
Like
but
who?
I you just told me that I didn't know that. That's funny.
Who are some of the guys that you make a point to watch, or girls?
Oh, I like to watch guys for two reasons. Some are for a skills reason and some are for drama reason. I like some of my favorite fighter were villains. They were not. Some of the guys that I like to watch fight the most are not necessarily the guy that are acting like role model. I used to like Tito Ortiz. I used to like I like Chuck Liddell, of course, but Chael Sonnen. I really like Chael Sonnen. I thought his trash talking and his fighting skill was brilliant because he didn't use profanity like a lot of the fighter. He was very smart, and I always admire that of him. I never was able to do like he did. It was something that I really admire. It was how he promoted. It was insanely good. And I like that. I like the build up to the fight, and when the fight starts, you have goosebumps because you're emotionally involved. That's why Chill was good. And I like to see different fighters too for different reasons. I like Anderson Silva, of course, John Jones. I like to watch him fight. I like Adesanya now. I really love Dominic Cruz, Khabib, of course, Conor McGregor. He create drama. Yeah, there's many guys that I love to see fight. Sehu Joe is one of the best. I love to see him fight. There's a lot of guys that I never miss their fight because I'm a big fan.
It's interesting that you mentioned Anderson. Today's his 44th birthday. And that for a long time was a fight that people wanted to see, and there was some, flirtation that it might happen. If I ask you, is there one guy that you wish you could have fought that you regret not fighting? Is the answer to that question Anderson, or is it someone else?
Yeah, it could be Anderson. It's just maybe I guess his timing and everything was not together like for to be like the star were not aligned for make it happen. Probably if I would have said, if I would have won it as bad as I would want it for another fight, maybe it would have materialized. It's just that I was focusing on being the best welterweight and to have more title defense to make history. But if I would have said, I wanna fight the guy to beat the guy, maybe I would have done it. That's why when I came back after many years of after more than 4 years of retirement, one of the big critics that I had is that I never went up a weight class to fight the champion. That's one of the reasons I did that, and it was something that I could have done before. But if you look at many guys that have done that before, like Roy Jones, when you go up after, you cannot go back down. And one of the mistakes too, and I did it against Bisping, is I thought in my mind, if I fight a bigger man, I should gain weight to be big. Then after, I realized it was a mistake because I just should stay the same. You know what I mean? Of course, there's the laws of physique. The laws of physique will favor the heavier guy. Of course, it's physique, But I believe if I stay healthy and the same weight that I am, I'm at my best. I'm at my best right now, better than if I would try to gain weight. Georges St-Pierre right now will be better than the Georges St-Pierre who's gaining weight. That's what I believe.
And I know you're very humble, but when it comes to the greatest of all time debate, I think the three main people that are brought up are you, as far as the UFC is concerned, you, Anderson Silva, John Jones. I think those are the three main ones. Demetrius Johnson a little bit as well. But the one thing that you have on your resume that they don't have is you don't have any PED infractions, right? You never tested positive for steroids. So that's why you are the greatest. Also, you avenged your only 2 losses. When I say you're the greatest, do you agree with me honestly? In your heart of hearts, do you walk around and say, I was the greatest of all time to fight in the UFC? Can you say that?
I don't think that. I don't think there is nobody the greatest. Let me explain that to you. There's 3 guys, right? This guy will beat this guy will beat this guy, and this guy will beat this guy. That's how it is in this game, Like this guy is better than him is better than him is better than him. It's just a matter of timing, and everybody can beat everybody at any given days. It's about odds. You'll make a fight 10 times, most against the top guy. The guy will probably not win it the 10 times. Maybe depending the situation, you might win 9 out of 10. And style makes fight too. There's guys that has your numbers. You don't know why they have your number. So in the fight game, it's not a straight line. Sometimes you have to go here. You lose one, then you come back. That's how it is in the fight games. So when you say the best of all time, when I was young, I wanted to be the best of all time. But when I get older and I have more experience, I realize that it's just a fugazi. It doesn't exist. You
Well,
cannot be the best fighter on the planet. There will always be one guy that will beat you. And I know some people will say, no, it's not true. But if you've trained with many different training partners, with different people, you'll find out it's true.
mm.
There's guys that are better than you. Maybe they're not fighting, but if you fight them in the gym, you'll see that they're gonna beat you. It's like that. It's that's how the world works. There is no better guy. There will always be one guy that will have your number. He will beat you. And that's how it is. Unfortunately, there's no better guy. There's any given day, one guy will be better than the other. When you fight a guy and you're a champion because you only beat that guy that night. You didn't beat. It doesn't give you the right to put you above all the rest of the roster. That's how most of people see it, but that's not how I see it myself right now. That's how I used to think, but now I realize it's all an illusion.
Let me ask you this: John Jones, Conor McGregor, some very famous fighters, they have had trouble outside of the cage, right? And in your prime, I mean, you were a megastar. People were saying you were the most famous athlete in Canada. In Montreal, you couldn't go anywhere without someone recognizing you. How did you avoid anything like that throughout your entire career? You never had anything negative, no negative headlines, drama, controversy. How did you avoid that? Because there was so much scrutiny on you.
I realize I'm not a perfect man. I have a lot of vice. However, I try to force myself to be a role model. That's a choice that I made. I made a lot of party and do some crazy thing, but I was fortunate enough to have great people around me that protect me, and I was able add enough clear, I would say, clairvoyance or awareness to choose who I wanted to be with. I can be nice to everybody, like I'm nice to everybody, but I let inside my life come in not everybody. There's a lot of people that I don't let inside my life. This is very important for me, and I have a small circle that is very small and very tight. And when you start to have a lot of success, you have to be nice to everybody, but you can't let everybody comes in, because some bad people will pollute you and have a bad influence on you. And of course, everybody has vice. Nobody is perfect, and I'm not perfect by no means. But I was able to have a brand and to maintain my brand the best as I can, because if you have a brand and it takes an entire life to build it, but it takes 1 second to crush it. That's what
Mm.
my father always told me.
Do you have a few more minutes? You have anywhere
Of
to go?
course, of course.
Okay, this is great. I'm really enjoying talking to you. There's not a lot of exciting things going on right now in our lives. By the way, how are you doing? How are you? Because I know you have social media and you don't use it very much, but lately you've been posting a lot of workouts at home and trying to give people, some positive things to do. How are you handling what's going on in the world?
Yeah, one thing I guess that I can do to help people in this situation is I mean, people that want to stay active and they have to be isolated. I mean, I can't help them. Like I'm not only a fighter. I know fitness a lot, and I'm thinking that maybe next week I'm gonna do like a live training with my fans, because I've
Okay.
been posting some videos, but I've been having a lot of requests of doing like a live training. So maybe next week what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do a live training with them. It will be accessible to everybody, not only if you're a professional fighter, but it could be also for someone who just wanted to be active and be in good shape. I will have different exercise that will be for different levels of people. So maybe next week I'll do something like that to have fun. That's my way. I think that I can give back to society in a situation like this.
I think everyone is going through like a roller coaster now. Sometimes we feel nervous, depressed, happy, um, uncertain future that makes you anxious. Do you have feelings like that too? And if so, how do you get over it?
I believe that what we live now, what in the situation we live, it's bad for society in a short term, because of some people get sick and die. Unfortunately, it's very sad. But in the long term, for humanity, for a long term, for the nature, I think could be a good thing, because it make us open our eyes and realize that we're not the master of the universe, in a way that small little things like this can affect the entire world. And it's small, it's not a big thing. Imagine if something bad, like bad happened, like of course there's a lot of people that die. It's very sad, but there's a lot of worse thing than this that can happen. And I don't give myself the right to complain, because fortunately, I'm very lucky. I can take a hit, but unfortunately, there's a lot of people right now have a very hard time. They lose their job and everything. But what doesn't kill you make you stronger, and I'm sure they will come back stronger from that situation after. It will enlighten their life in a better way when they're gonna come out of this. And when they're gonna see the light at the end of the tunnel, they'll be stronger.
And you've talked about thinking about alien abduction, worrying about that sort of thing. Do you have thoughts like that? And like some people are saying, the zombies are coming, the apocalypse is coming in the midst of this. 'Cause this is like a movie that we're living now, right? Do you feel
Yeah.
like that something's going to come? What is your mind telling you right now, George?
Well, this is all about all these conspiracy theory.
Yes.
I just tried. I'm not an ex. I would say I'm an expert into martial art fitness, but I'm not an expert of how this thing works. I don't know if it's human or if it's mother. I think it's more mother nature that created. I'm not too much of a conspiracy theorist about that. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it is human made. I don't know. But I just try to listen the expert and try to do my best to roll and to entertain myself and be happy, and take care of the people I love.
Last week, a huge story was the UFC was trying to put on an event in the midst of this. The entire sports world shut down, right? NHL, NBA, Major League Baseball, soccer, and the UFC tried, but in the end, they didn't come through with it because the governor of California called Disney, ESPN said no more. What did you make of the way that they were handling it? Dana White was very defiant that we were going to put on this event. Did you think that that was smart for the fighters to fight in the midst of this?
Yeah, there's two ways that you can see it. I believe there's a way that you can see, oh, it's irresponsible, because if you do that, that means some people will break the law of being isolated. But there's another way that you can see it, that if they do it in a good way, that people stay isolated I think it was on an island. I've not, I don't know exactly what it is. I haven't checked. It could entertain people who are stuck at home, and they can, give them some, I guess, some entertainment. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if there's a way to do it without breaking the rules of isolation in a way. If you're in an island, maybe, I guess there is, but I don't know. I don't know all the infrastructure of the project.
Would you feel comfortable fighting in the midst of something like this?
Well, right now I no, because right now I'm wealthy and I'm
Right.
healthy. But if you go back like maybe 18 years ago, or like, like in the old days, I didn't have a lot of money. I would have done anything to be world champion, anything, my friend. And I don't know if I would have done it, but man, I was game to do anything to be world champion at the time. I would have probably do it blindly without thinking of any of the consequences. I don't know. Because if you're on an island and you get ready for a fight, a lot of guys, they say, yeah, it's not good to do it like that because you're taking out of your natural environment. It's true, but your opponent is on the same boat as you, so your boat have the handicap. So it's not an advantage to you or to him. You're both having this handicap, you know, this, you have to both get out of your comfort zone. I don't know. It all depends how it's done. I haven't read about it too much to see what was the infrastructure and how the project would have been made. I just heard the story, but I don't know how it's possible to do that. It would be maybe in a private plane. If I don't know how to, I have no idea if they are tested before the plane, then tested. I have no idea if there's a way to do it by respecting the government instruction in terms of isolation.
You know, towards the end of your career, George, you were very vocal about fighter rights, drug testing, paying the fighters properly, coming together. Potential association didn't happen. Maybe it will happen one day. Now, a couple of years later, do you feel like the fighters are in a better spot, or do you still think that a lot more could be done to protect the fighters?
There's a lot of things that could be done better, and fighters like I remember when I was younger, like I just said, 18 years 18 years ago, I was very hungry. You know, I didn't have a lot of money, and I would have done anything to be world champion. And sometimes you need to have an adult in the room that says, "Hey, this I don't allow this," because the fighter will do it because they dreaming so much about success and their dreams, so they will do anything to do it. But it needs someone that has some common sense that forbid these certain things to protect their fighters, you know, to protect the guys that say, "Hey, man, we're not gonna do this is ridiculous," you know, because fighters will do it. If they have a chance to be on top, they'll do it, even though they can pay a big price, even if they can have severe consequences. You need an adult in the room, you know, that, or like cornermen, you know, sometimes they say, "Oh, you need a guy that stop the fight at the right moment." You need an adult in your corner that will stop the fight. You know, like I remember Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. The coach stopped the fight. It was a good job. He stopped the fight. It was good. You know, you need guys that are there more for the you know, for the right reason, you know, because they love the fighter. They're there to protect them, you know. You lose today, maybe another day you have another chance and you'll win. It's a sport. We're not in a war. It's a sport, you know. We all make that for a living, and we all need to be safe, you know, and in order to continue doing it. You know, if you do it and your safety is compromised in a way. I mean, it's always compromised, but there's ways to do it that are more efficient than others.
So now, do you see any adults in the room, or is there no one that's
not for every camp?
right?
There is, for certain people there is adult. Some people there is no adult. You need to bring an adult in your camp to do that.
So there's still ways to go before the fighters are on the same level.
I remember one thing. I just give, when I fought Matt Serra, I lost to Matt Serra by TKO. Okay, when I'm going to a fight, I'm going with the same mindset as a gladiator, as a soldier ready to die. But it can shift, because when I fought Matt Serra, I was going into that fight like that. But then, doom. I knew the fight was lost. I knew I had zero chance. I was dizzy. I didn't know where I was. And I tapped. And it's fine. I told myself, because sometimes in a fight, things go slow. So you have a lot of thought that goes through. You lose that battle today, but you didn't lose the war. You're going to have another chance. And if you don't do it, you might have brain damage and not being able to come back to be world champion again. So you need an adult in the room, and you need to be wise enough sometimes to make the right choice, you know?
I remember towards the end of your career, you took a lot of damage. Carlos Condit fight, Johnny Hendricks fight. There's some pictures of your face. You're all bruised. Do you worry about brain damage? Like, do you feel like you're forgetting things? Do you have any effects of that?
I never really worry about the brain damage. What worries me the most, it was more related to the stress related. Doesn't mean that I'm not maybe I'm brain damaged and I don't know, you know, but I'm not really worried. I don't have any symptom right now to this that I think, at least that I know, but it's more the stress. The stress, for me, was the problem. The anxiety of fighting. that was my main concern.
Are you getting into more acting? I saw you with a acting coach recently on your Instagram. Are you doing more of that?
Yeah, I'm having acting class every week. I've been practicing a lot right now. I put a lot of my energy into it, and I'm doing a big project. And unfortunately, for a contractual reason, I'm not allowed to talk about it. I can't tell you what it is, but you'll see it's a big thing coming up.
Okay. Wow. Okay. And when you're bored at home, George, do you ever sit back and say, you know what? Let me put in, the Nick Diaz fight. Let me put in the Dan Hardy fight. Do you ever sit back and put in your old fights on the computer, on the TV and watch? When's the last time you ever did that?
It's a long time. I used to do it when I just finish a fight. When I go home, I like to rewatch it immediately, because it make me relive the same feeling. I still have the goosebump and everything. Right now, the last time I watched the fight, it was on TV. It was on TV. My fight with Michael Bisping was on the sport channel, and I saw, and I catch it, and I watch it. It still give me the feeling, But it's not a bad feeling. It's a fun feeling because the outcome.
Oh my gosh, I can't imagine. Was that recently?
Yeah, it was like 2-3 weeks ago. Yeah.
Right. So you're just flipping through the channels, you see it, and you're like, I'm going to watch myself win the middleweight title.
Exactly. It was my fight was starting. It was actually it was Dillashaw against
Cody Garbrandt.
Cody Garbrandt. It was, and then I knew I was coming next, so I watched.
Yeah, that's it. By yourself? Were you by yourself?
Oh yeah, I was by myself watching it. I had nothing else to do, so I was before I go in bed.
There's a lot of new fans, and we'll wrap up with this. There's a lot of new fans out there who maybe didn't see you in your prime, didn't have a chance to watch those early fights. If there's one that you could recommend to them to watch during this downtime, what's the one that comes to mind? Your favorite fight of yours that you say, if you want to see George at his best, which one do you recommend?
There is not one fight that I watched that I tell myself, oh, that was a perfect fight. There's always something that I say to myself. I say, shit, I wish I would have done this, or I should have done that. But there's fight that I'm way more proud than others. Like one of my fight I perform very well is Thiago Alves. I perform very well. John Fitch, I perform very well. BJ Penn perform very well. Nick Diaz and Matt Serra too perform very well. Matt Hughes too perform very well. Tree perform very well as well. Yeah.
Josh Koscheck too.
The fight that I had after my second loss was always my best. I always came back stronger from a loss.
Right.
And every time I had a rematch with someone, I'm a specialist of the rematch. Because if I can download your data, I'm the kind of guy I never make the same mistake twice.
And here's the biggest question of them all. To answer a long-standing internet story that came out many moons ago, is it true that George St-Pierre in his prime dated the great Mandy Moore? Is it true, George? Tell us, true or false? Is it true?
This was a real rumor.
Yes.
Man, I'm gonna tell you the truth. Okay.
Tell me.
You're not the first guy that asked me this, and it's not true. I met her, but I met her maybe one or two or three times. One time it was in a restaurant with a bunch of friends, and another time was before a fight, because Dana and Lorenzo like to bring celebrities sometimes to meet you before a fight. But before a fight, it's not a good moment to meet someone. Like I remember I met Shaquille O'Neal one time before. I think it was before Frank Triggs, or I say, "Hi, nice meeting you," and I didn't care. Like if I would have met him in a normal situation, I would be like, "Wow," I will enjoy it more. So no, it's not true. I mean, I will tell you the truth. It's not true.
Do you think you'll ever have like a family? Like, do you want to have a family, a wife, many children in your house?
Yeah,
something
of course.
you want?
Of course, it's a goal. The thing is, one time what I did is I brought the camera with me to follow me with for for the I think it was the prime time, and I brought them to. I'm from the countryside, so I brought them to film my family, my mom, my dad, and I remember when the show came up, like every so often it was people calling or knocking at the door. So for this reason, I never let nobody gets in. Like a lot of fighters, they put their kids on camera and they show their house. Me, I would never in 100 years do that. Never. I keep that part of my life very, very close from the public. You know, what I do. I'm an entertainer. I'm a public figure, but I would never want my family be in public. Very important for me. That was a mistake I've learned with the prime time when I did this.
Last thing, George, any positive message to the people? People are down right now. They look up to you. You're one of the most famous athletes in the world, certainly in Canada. You're an idol to many people. Is there anything that you want to say to the people during this crazy time?
Yeah, man. What I would like to say to them is stay active, eat well, sleep well, to boost your immune system the best you can, and respect the advice of the expert. And man, like what doesn't kill us make us stronger. You know, I know a lot of people are going through a very hard time, and when you're gonna come out at the end of this, at the end you'll be stronger. You'll be ready to, because you will beat this situation. You'll be ready to face any situation after that. I mean, it's a crisis, and just stay strong, stay hard and strong, and you will be you will be winner at the end of it.
Amen. George, thank you so much. What a privilege this is. Really, it's so great to talk to you and to see you smiling and in good health. You gave us so many great memories. So the possibility of talking to you today really got me excited. It uplifted me. Really, I was looking forward to this very much. So thank you for everything, my friend, and my best to your family. And don't hang up the phone just yet, because Corporate Jake is going to tell us what to do. So I don't want to lose any of this. So just sit right there, okay? Thank you so much, George. All the best to you.
Thank you, Ariel, man.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.